Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm coming with another tutorial for y'all. This one's on importing. Um, I don't know if we've ever had kind of an official, like, importing geometry talk, you know. There's a couple different techniques we can use to make sure we're kind of exhausting our techniques on our side to make sure we're getting the geometry in a place where it needs to be. Sometimes, obviously, they send us crap geometry, or his faces flip, or they're, just incomplete geometry, just bad stuff going on. So I just want to show you a couple techniques that I use to import if something's not working right. Also, it's a good way to kind of control the resolution of the geometry, and so we're not just kind of like overdoing it on the poly count. So, some of these things can get really heavy, and you're not going to be able to move around if it's too much, and your saving time is just going to be, could be 5 or 10 minutes if it's too much stuff going on in there. So we got to kind of keep it to a minimum and looking good. So I'm just going to use this as an example. This stool that I got from the furniture client. So up here at convert to mesh is on or off. I'm just gonna show you both ways. So I'll go off for now, and that's gonna convert it to a body object. Up access. All this stuff is from the program that created it. So hierarchy mode, it's defaults on grouping, so it'll use the same groups as they had it in that program. You can do flattened, and it'll just bring in single objects. Okay, so we brought this guy in, and right away we can see some bad geometry going on here. Now we could, if this was our only method to do this, we would have to maybe kind of fix this, and this is probably best case scenario where this thing's symmetrical, so I can just kind of grab this and then mirror it over this instance, and then it's fixed. There's no seams or anything. So that's the best case scenario. Sometimes you'll get like just faces just kind of all messy back here, and you're like, you can't really recreate that because it's this is kind of like SolidWorks geometry. So you can tell right away that this is kind of a faceted, low resolution piece of geometry right here, which sometimes you can get away with that stuff if it's kind of hidden under here, if like it's a screw or something, or little pieces that you can't really see that we're not going to be showing. You can get away with that, but for a major piece like this, we're going to need to up the resolution. So if you go over here to viewport display settings, you'll have a coarse, medium, and fine. And obviously if you go coarse, it's going to look really bad. Medium you just saw, and then fine, you can control that, and it looks awesome when you put it at fine. But it obviously ups the poly count. So at a coarse it's at 20,000 polys, and at fine it's 136,000. So there is some RAM issues sometimes. Now what I do is I just kind of go around and take a look at the major objects. So this base, the back here, these arms are going to be the major things that we need to take a look at. So right here you can kind of see some faceting going on. We want to make this fine here. Oh, and also we need to unclick this rendering approximation and hit viewport mesh. Alright. So all this stuff, let's do fine, viewport mesh, this guy, viewport mesh. Alright, get the point. Now this guy is like, I usually play around with it. I usually go, if I can't see any difference from a medium to a fine, like I can't really see that much, and I don't think you'll see it if we render, I'll just leave it at medium, because you can kind of choose how you want it to be seen. So just go through there and check it out. Like, you couldn't get away with it on this back, but I think we can here. And this paddle looks fine. It's at medium. That's cool. So we're kind of just, we're optimizing the model. This thing is at medium. I mean, that looks fine. We're not going to be seeing down here, but you know, you get the idea. And so our final model is going to be around 430,000 polys, which isn't bad, you know. But I'm going to show you a couple other ways to import. I'm going to do the import again here, but I'm going to do convert to mesh on, and this mesh resolution is going to, if you see it was grayed out on off. So if you turn it on, it ungrays, so you can type in a number here. I think default sets at 0. Let's just try 10. That's like the highest resolution you can go. Okay, this guy came in, and so you can already see, like, this piece is complete. It's whole. And when we imported this, this guy was, the half of it was missing, or flip faces or whatever. So you can already see that there's different things going on behind the scenes that is importing it differently. So you know, I look at this thing and it's super smooth and looks awesome. You know, like, there's no issues at all. But let's grab the polys. We got 20 million polys on this thing, so that's a little ridiculous. And already I can see it's slowing down a little bit when I try and turn. So if you have you know, 5 or 6 chairs like this at 30 million polygons, it's going to take forever to save. It's going to take forever to move around, and it might become a kind of a mess. So let's try a different setting. Let's try a little lower. We're going to go, let's go to 6 on this, see what happens. Okay, this one came in as a 6, and it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of faceting there. And obviously, if you import it as a mesh, you can't adjust the settings, so it's kind of flattened out. You know, so if we're cool with this, you know, we're at 524,000 polygons, which is a huge difference in just 2 numbers, from 8 to a 10. You're looking at 28 million to 500,000. So there's obviously some, you know, some discrepancies in the resolution there. So if this kind of looks a little bit still too faceted for you, I've kind of noticed that just importing at an 8 usually is plenty good. You know, you could play with whatever numbers you want, but you know, obviously it needs to be high res looking. It's got, you don't want to see chunks of facets and stuff. So and then also I've imported both ways before and kind of Frankenstein pieces together, taken pieces from over here that came in better, you know, put it over here to the, you know, whatever this side was. So feel free to kind of mix and match. We just got to kind of get these things looking right. And yeah, like this thing looks really good too. And so if I grab this, it's 1.5 million polys. So it's still a lot. Now the first one I did with when I turned the convert to mesh off, where I could sit here and select each part and determine how it's read, what the resolution was. This one's turned out to be the lowest of the group, and I think it looks pretty good. So like I said, if you have like 5 or 6 chairs in here, it's going to slow it down. And this only takes you know, I don't know, it takes 5 or 10 minutes sometimes to kind of you know, play around with things, play around with settings. Also, I've noticed that 2020, if you guys have that installed, that kind of has like a different import module thing going on there. So sometimes if I'm having problems with something, I'll try and import it into there, and sometimes it works. And then you kind of just, you know, save as 2019. But these are just kind of a few steps I take importing stuff, and like I say, most of the time things look good. We don't have to mess with things too much, but you know, every once in a while we get some bad stuff going on. So let me know if you guys have any questions or issues, and we'll see you later.